It's always, come on Grandad, just let's get going. It doesn't matter what Mum and Dad want to do, you just want to get on and you just want to do something. And do you know what? We should celebrate that. Because they're going to be the people who lead us all in the future. We need to give young people the time. We need to give them the values. We need to give young people the support that they need. I see it so many times with mobile phones. Fathers going home with mobile phones and the child, like William, running up to him and going, that's awful. Because they're like they've got a blank hard drive that starts to get populated, and it can be populated with negative things as well as good things. This little guy, I'm sure he's going to be an entrepreneur, because the other week they're building some houses in the village in Yorkshire where I live, and I said to him, I said, they're building some houses? Yes, he says, Grandad, it's just over 4. He said, I'm advising them. I said, are you? He said, yeah. A week later, we went past, I said, you're still advising them? He says, no, silly Grandad. He always calling me silly Grandad. Silly Grandad. He said, they can get on with it on their own now. He said, I've helped them, I've got another site now. So we came back, and I took them out for dinner last Saturday night, because he has a little brother now who's 6 months. And he said to me, Grandad, you know the houses I was building? The imagination of children is just the most amazing thing in the world to me. It's fantastic. I said, yeah. He said, do you want to buy one? I said, I can do it if you want. I said, how much are they? He said, £3, Grandad. But he says, for you, this is exactly what he said, I don't know where he got it from, I'll cut you a deal. He said, you can have 3 for £4. Cool. I said, what if I want a conservatory? He said, they're £50 and you need to pay me now. I said, okay. So I gave him £4. And last Sunday, I said, I haven't seen the paperwork for these houses yet, I paid for. Grandad, sorry, he said, you just haven't given me enough yet, I need another £2. So he's promised me, I promised I'd take him tomorrow, which is why I'm driving back to Yorkshire tonight. I promised I'd take him to see Peter Rabbit in Cumbria tomorrow, and you can't make promises to these guys and not carry them out. I think that's really, really important, because they're the future. Anybody in here grandparents like me? Yeah? Well, I'll tell you what, us lot, we're a special band, and we especially need to look after these, because when we're in our nursing homes, they're the ones who's going to smuggle in the gin. Okay? So, they're my efforts at the X Factor. I think all those people have made my life a very special and very personal journey in my eyes, and I've taken something from them all, and I hope I try and pass it on. And if I don't, then I'm absolutely certain these guys will tell me. So, thank you very much for listening. I hope I haven't overstayed my time. And I hope you enjoyed the rest of the evening with these guys. And thank you very much for coming.
Okay, thank you, Graham. I'm sure you guys are all intrigued on what we have under these covers over here. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to the V90 and the S90. Best laid plans and all that.
You can never stop me. This is what I'm made of. I'll never let go. This is what I'm made of. try, but you won't stop me. This is what I'm made of. I will never let go. This is what I'm made of. No one can control me. This is what I'm made of. You can make me now break me. This is what I'm made
Okay, so as you can see, this is the second step of our exciting brand journey, which started with the new XC90, which is just hiding in the corner in the background over there, as you can see. So that Swedish luxury of the S90 and the elegant, defining family versatility of the V90. So, as far as our design direction, we've actually had a lot of change. We now have Thomas Ingelarthen as our senior vice president of design. He's come from Audi and Volkswagen. Robin Page is now our design director, and he's had 8 years of designing the interiors of Bentley. So this all points in the direction of the level of premium that we now want to offer as the brand of Volvo. So this is where we've come to. As you can see there, we've got our Orrefors crystal gear knob, which is a standard feature in any T8. Now, Orrefors are a crystal company from Sweden. Each one of those is individual to each XC90 T8. And you can see the premium level and quality inside each car, which I'm sure you'll see as you get into these vehicles later. Okay, so this talks to you about the design.
The design work has had the highest priority to genuinely establish Volvo cars as a strong premium brand.
The S90 has, of course, Tor's hammer, like we introduced it with XC90, but we introduce a new element in the front, and that's what I really like about the front. It's how we shape the grille, how these 23 metal ribs are carved in a concave manner. It's an element that we derive from P1800. That's where Volvo showed this many years ago the first time, and it's such an unusual way of treating a front volume, and it's giving this nice proud attitude into the front.
I'm personally very happy about the proportions of the S90. Why do we talk so much about proportion? Proportions are something that when you see a car on the road, it's something that you perceive immediately. Even in the corner of your eye, if you see a car passing by, you do realize, if it's like in our case, the S90, lower, wider, and longer than competition. On top of that, we have this great dash-to-axle measurement. What is dash-to-axle? It's the distance from the center of the front wheel to the dashboard, which symbolizes premiumness, which is basically historically derived a distance that was needed to accommodate for large engines. So he created a long bonnet. This is something that we think is the entry ticket into the premium segment.
you and I above the city lights.
The new SPA platform has given Thomas Ingenlath and his team the opportunity to develop a large sedan that exudes exclusivity, luxury, and comfort.
So the package that you get, I think, is very unique. It's on the one hand this very innovative limousine. I think you hardly get a better packaged car than that. And of course our offer in terms of this classy, stylish Scandinavian design. I mean, just the outside is such a sleek, elegant saloon, and then you get into the inside and you have this fresh and modern, nice interior. I think that is really the most modern designed car with the greatest package you can get today.
It is plain to see that Volvo has raised the car's interior to a completely new level. This is Swedish luxury at its very best.
I think the special thing about the S90 interior is the approach we've taken. Normally you have a design and then you have to fit in there lots of switches and maybe put some bezels around air vents and maybe a bit of decorative wood. With this, we actually started with the centre, the very latest technology, vertical iPad-sized screen, and built the architecture around it in a very Scandinavian way. That's beautiful surfacing, making the best of the materials. And then the most important thing is we put a chrome spline across the car all the way to the end that actually holds visually onto the end of the vents. And these air vents, we've designed an air blade, which is influenced from the concept cars that we introduced before the XC90. So we brought some nice design elements, we've got some really beautiful materials, and the solid decorative wood that is inserted into the design that has that real depth and solidity to it.
I mean, there's hardly any plastic facing you. It's all these nice materials, the wood, the metal, the glass. This is such a new statement in terms of interior design. I think it will definitely set a new standard.
Okay, so moving on from that, we also have a number of options as far as exterior styling kits, and this is just one of them. Okay, so we're going to go further into the design now.
Describing the Scandinavian influence, really, you're looking at the influence from nature in particular. In Sweden, there's this beautiful connection that people have with the outside world. We really bring that into the interior. You see that through the use of materials, through color, which is very light yet warm, and also the attention to detail and craftsmanship. This is something that you see throughout Swedish homes and Swedish life.
There is a certain sense of calm and a certain sense of confidence in people in society here, and this is the value that we wanted to bring into the exterior of the car. In the premium segment, proportions are crucial. The S90 are based on our new platform, which enables us to design on exactly those important measurements, which are a long wheelbase, very short overhangs, especially in the front, and a long dash to axle distance. We design key features, key signatures, as we call them, in the exterior of the car to give people that recognition of the brand. So they look at the car, first they get this wow effect, they look at it, and then they realize, okay, that's obviously a Volvo.
There's so much that I'm proud of on these interiors. You see this beautiful metallic ribbon, which really holds up the design. It's quite a feat. It took a really strong commitment from our design team in combination with our engineering team to get that into production.
Okay, so as you can see, we've got a number of different interior layouts here. So this is your Momentum, the standard spec. Then we have an inscription. Subtle change there of the carpets. Finally, an R design. And then the cross country. Okay, so now a little bit about technology.
The new Volvo S90 is not just a beautiful car to look at, it is also a car with new cutting-edge technology.
This is based on the SPA architecture, so it has all the goodies that the SPA architecture brings with it, and is tuned towards the driving experience that we want for Volvo.
the new chassis has also given this car driving characteristics and road holding that really impress.
We have the latest and greatest cutting-edge technology for our suspensions. It is a double wishbone front suspension. It is a spring leaf suspension in the rear, which actually protects the interior of the car, the luggage compartment, of not being intruded by spring leaves. And it is also a weight reduction, and it can be really tuned better than any other setup. This is really what we call the Volvo performance and driving dynamics. And it's not going to be a copy of anything else out there. It's not that people want to have race cars in that segment. They want to have control, predictability, and comfort.
Volvo cars will also offer the new S90 with several exciting engine alternatives.
The S90 will have a broad range of diesel and petrol engines, but there's one new thing which I would like to point out, which is actually a power pulse system that enables the diesel engines for a much better takeoff of performance, actually using compressed air to spin up the turbocharger in a very early situation of the takeoff, and with that obviously have a better acceleration and a much better performance experience.
It's not just a beautiful car with cutting-edge technology. It's also one of the world's safest cars.
Yeah, S90 plays a major role in our fulfillment of our long-term safety vision. In 2020, nobody should be seriously injured or even killed in a new Volvo. XC90 was the first and very important step towards that vision. S90 is following that and doing the next step towards this vision with two world firsts, one of which is large animal detection. And the next feature that also for us is so important in getting towards our safety vision is autonomous drive. S90 will deliver a semi-autonomous drive feature that works up to 130 kilometers per hour.
Peter Mertens sees a great potential to attract many competitors' customers with Volvo cars' new cutting-edge technology.
My favorite is the driving dynamics. It is a combination of really being in control, having a predictable reaction, and the right comfort setting.
Okay, so touched on safety a little bit there, but here's some of those very important crash test videos that we have. Very slow motion, you can see that the safety cage around the car is actually pushing the object away from where the driver's legs would be. Obviously it's the left-hand drive car, and that is because of the different types of steel that are present within the car. So the softer steels at the front are actually absorbing the impact of the crash, as you can see here, and then once you get to those red steels at the back there, which is the ultra-high strength steel, otherwise known as boron steel, which is also a Volvo invention, you can see it's pushed away from that area. So, pilot assist. On the new XC90 and the new S and V90s, this has been upgraded significantly. Now, the top speed for this is actually 80 miles an hour now. So when you're sat on the motorway, you've got your adaptive cruise control, which I'm sure you guys are used to already, but this takes it a stage further. It uses the camera at the top of the screen to literally use lane centering. So what's happening is that the camera needs to see both lane markers, one each side, for the system to activate, and you'll see a green steering wheel symbol appear in the display. So at that point, as long as you're above 10 miles an hour, all you have to do is rest your hand gently in the bottom of the steering wheel, and let the car do everything else. Now trust me, the first time you do this, it might feel a little bit unnerving, but I'm sure as with adaptive cruise control, you will get used to it, and it is an awesome, awesome system. So innovation is our future. Obviously, we've had a long history in delivering innovative, customer-driven offerings. Innovation is important in all aspects of our company to continuously renew ourselves. So for example, in Sweden, we are going to be developing a parcel and grocery delivery service directly to your car. So literally you can book a time at which you can obviously order online, and then your groceries are there waiting in your car when you finish work. No more trips to the supermarket. Also, we're going to be the first car maker to launch a car without a key. Now this sounds madness, but it's just an app you have on your phone. So literally, as we do at the moment, lots of Bluetooth devices, you'll be able to open your car and also share that key as well. So we've all been in that scenario where who's got the key? I bought the key, I haven't got the key. You can literally send that key and share it with anyone you like. Very, very good. So, future mobility. Now, autonomous driving, obviously, as we saw at the start there, some of your reactions to the autonomous driving section there. We're actually the world's first project on public roads with real customers. There are actually 100 V60s that are actually going around Gothenburg as we speak, with real customers, obviously being tested. We've actually spent 500 million Swedish krona on this infrastructure, and obviously once one city takes this, and obviously it's developed, and the legislation is then adapted accordingly, I'm sure it will be moving around the rest of Europe. Now that project started in 2013, and they're actually doing real traffic testing in 2017, and that includes London as of next year. So we're actually the first car company to join up with Autoliv, which basically develop solely the autonomous driving system, and we're the first manufacturer to do that. Now this moves on nicely to Uber. Now can you imagine getting an app out of your phone, booking a taxi, and then the vehicle turns up and there's no one driving? Now that's obviously the end aim of this, but to start with, the technology will be present in the car, but you'll have an engineer and you'll also have a driver, which is obviously there to take over at any particular time, just so they can learn how all these systems work, and then with the aim, obviously the 2020 vision, is that this system will then be rolled out. Okay, what did Michael Knight do in 1980? He looked into his watch and he asked Kit to come over. I think the future might be upon us.
Send the meeting address to my Volvo. Start the heater in my Volvo. Prepare my Volvo.
Okay, so that HMI screen you saw there in the shop is basically the centre and the heart and soul of every car. We're actually developing more and more apps now to be available in our download centre, and one of those is Spotify.
High quality, on-demand music streaming is now available in your Volvo thanks to a new integration with Spotify. No more fiddling with your smartphone. Your favourite artists, albums and playlists are just a touch away via the Sensis user interface. You can even let passengers control the music using their smartphones with Spotify Connect. Bring the music to life with Sensus and Spotify. This is what I'm made of.
Okay, thank you very much. So at this point, I'd like to invite Simon Milton and Alan Lee to come up. Round of applause.
I'm not sure if we're going to need the mic. I'll use the mic. I want Alan to speak. I'll just give you a bit about my background. They asked us to produce a couple of photos, and just picking up on Graham, who I thought was excellent, to be fair, absolutely excellent. If I looked at that photo, I'll never forget that photo. When you're young and you're aspiring to become something, and I was aspiring to become a professional footballer, that was me scoring against Spurs live on Sky in 1994 at Pullman Road. I'll never forget that photo. But if I thought about the people in my life that got me to that position in my life, it's hundreds, absolutely hundreds. Family, school teachers, coaches, players, everybody I've ever been associated with. So that photo brings back amazing memories, not just because you've just scored and it's your job to do that. But I just looked at and I chose this one for Alan, I looked at that one as well. Look at how pleased is he with himself. Football is a team game, but as an individual sometimes, look at this guy, he's as happy as Alan. I think sometimes when you have the opportunity to do for a job, a sport, that can bring that kind of recognition and to others who come and support you, it just gives you an idea what you can do. And one of the things that I want to talk about today, and I wanted to come here and be able to talk about, is once that has gone, what is going to take that position? And what you want to do and what people want to do, once you've done that, the next best thing is still staying involved in the game that you love or the sport that you love and passing it on. And I think that's, that's the point that I want to get across. And I've obviously asked Alan along because Alan is much more current than me. I stopped playing 15 years ago, 16 years ago, and Alan was 3 years ago. And I've gone into the commercial side of football, the marketing side of football, presenting and doing events like this, because that was the way that was what I saw when I finished, that I really, really enjoyed. My last year as a player was my testimonial year, and that gives you the opportunity to run lots and lots of events as a benefit, and I really enjoyed it. And David Sheepshanks was the chairman at the time, and he said to me at the end of my playing career, basically, stay here. I've got to, I don't know what you're going to do, but I want you staying at this football club. And we created a job way back in sort of 98, 99, and here we are now. And next year is my 30th year at the football club. It's an amazing football club. I've loved every minute of it, but you have to find something else. But it's really relevant to have Alan here, because Alan is, as I said, much more recent. So Alan, if you'd just like to explain what happened to you 3 years ago when this came to an end and you've got into the coaching side of the business.
Yeah, so I guess my story is I played for 20 years for numerous clubs and managers. I'm not sure if that's a compliment or not, if that's a good thing or not. But I kind of reached a stage where my old club, Huddersfield, didn't want me, so I was released. I was doing my coaching badges. I was living with my wife up in Huddersfield, and we said, literally in the space of a week, we said, let's move back to Suffolk. We had a house down here, but my parents are there. We said, we're moving with your mum. It's the game's over. We don't want to go chasing it again. So I didn't want to go playing around the country. Just wanted to get back to what we considered as home. And I was on a Tuesday night. I was doing some. Ipswich very kindly allowed me to come in and do my coaching hours to get my badges. And I was there one evening, and Mick McCarthy happened to be there, and I kind of said, Mick, thank you very much for letting me come in and practice on the kids. And he goes, well, what are you doing? I said, well, it looks like I'm retired. Well, you look all right. You look pretty fit to me. And I said, oh, well, I've been keeping myself taken over. I lied. He said, come in and train, and you never know, there might be a position for you here coaching, but you could still play for a year. So I came in the next day, scored a couple of goals in training, managed to hoodwink Milk. But so he gave me a coaching role, which was an assistant coach to the youth team. But basically, for the first year, I was training with the first team all the time. So I had a couple of years at that, 3 years at that, and now since the start of the season, I'm lead under-18s coach, or I manage the under-18s.
So I just wanted the changeover. This is the important bit, because I'm just going to give you a bit of an insight into Alan's career, if you don't know. He was what they call the old-fashioned centre forward. So that means his job was to lead the line, and his job was to make sure that the centre halves for the opposition were going to get a tough day. So he was physical, and that was part of his job, to be physical. But also it was part of his job, if anybody in the team who wasn't quite pulling their weight, as a leader of the team, and that was the type of player that he was, it was his job to give him a bit of stick. So imagine I was a midfield player, I'd play the central midfield, but I'd play wide. Now if I'm playing wide and I'm running down the right wing, and I looked across it to Alan, who's making his run in the box, and I don't cross it, I change my mind, I come back out, and I lose it. The next time, Alan, there's a lull in the game, Alan will say to me, Simon, do us a favour. Please put the ball in a bit earlier. Maybe not as nicely as that. Okay, so that's what your job is as a player. As a senior player, your job is get the ball in. Yeah? And that's what building a team does. And as a first team, players will have a go at players. And for the right reasons, okay? And that's what happens within the first team. Now the transition from being that type of player to now being in charge of the under-18s who are making these mistakes, you have to bite your lip. Because you've gone from the blood and thunder of first team football, where every single challenge, free kick, corner, point, goal matters, to developing well-rounded young footballers who want to ply their trade doing what we've done. So that's my first question to you. The transition, how do you step off that aggressive footballer trying to get the best out of everyone by cajoling them and doing what they're doing, to actually now being a mentor to 17, 18-year-old players and trying to get the best out of every single one?
It's hard. So I guess it's very true. As you get older and more experienced in a team, and you're part of the team, it's so easy to go, if someone is messing around, you're the police, you're kind of doing the manager's job. But it's very, very easy to go, yes, it's black or white. You do what I say, you do what the team says. And at first you think, well, actually when I'm a coach, it's going to be the same. They're going to have the same respect for me, and I'll just tell these kids yes or no. But luckily, I had a couple of years in a support role, where I very quickly learned that it's not like that. I found that, but it was a huge honour to be given the lead role this year. But again, with that couple of experience and maybe seeing how it's done, I realised that you very quickly become almost like a teacher or maybe a parent. They're teenagers at the end of the day, and they're at that time of their life where it's fair to say, they don't really want to listen. And I know, because I was once a teenager.
People in the room